Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to go on with the book As A Man Thinketh, and the chapter is titled Effect of Thought on Health and the Body. Now this is usually a very controversial point for most people because we can see so much sickness around us, or perhaps even currently in ourselves, that it's kind of a hard part of these teachings to accept the premise that our minds can also control the health of our bodies, because we see all these sick people around us. Surely they wouldn't want to be sick. They didn't, decide that this is going to happen to them, right? It is true that we could reason in that manner, but ultimately we first want to reflect these teachings upon ourselves, first and foremost, to get the actual benefit from it in personal experience, because only then we'll be able to look at other people if we want and try and help them out along their journey. So we don't want to skip a few ranks on the ladder, so to speak. Now James Allen said the following: "The body is the servant of the mind. It obeys the operations of the mind, whether they be deliberately chosen or automatically expressed. At the bidding of unlawful thoughts, the body sinks rapidly into disease and decay. At the command of glad and beautiful thoughts, it becomes clothed with youthfulness and beauty. Disease and health, like circumstances, are rooted in thought. Sickly thoughts will express themselves through a sickly body. Thoughts of fear have been known to kill a man as speedily as a bullet, and they are continually ending the lives of thousands of people just as surely, though less rapidly. The people who live in fear of disease are the people who get it. Anxiety quickly demoralizes the whole body and lays it open to the entrance of disease, while impure thoughts, even if not physically indulged, will soon shatter the nervous system. Strong, pure and happy thoughts build up the body in vigor and grace. The body is a delicate and plastic instrument, which responds readily to the thoughts by which it is impressed, and habits of thought will produce their own effects, good or bad, upon it. Man will continue to have impure and poisoned blood so long as they propagate unclean thoughts. Out of a clean heart comes a clean life and a clean body. Out of a devout mind proceeds a devout life and corrupt body. Thought is the fount of action. Life and manifestations make the fountain pure, and all will be pure. Change of diet will not help a man who will not change his thoughts. When a man makes his thoughts pure, he no longer desires impure food. If you would perfect your body, guard your mind. If you would renew your body, beautify your mind. Thoughts of malice, envy, disappointment, despondency rob the body of its health and grace. A sour face does not come by chance, it is made by sour thoughts. Wrinkles that mar are drawn by folly, passion, pride. I know a woman of 96 who has the bright, innocent face of a girl. I know a man well under middle age whose face is drawn into inharmonious contours. The one is the result of a sweet and sunny disposition, the other is the outcome of passion and discontent. As you cannot have a sweet and wholesome abode unless you admit the air and sunshine freely into your rooms, so a strong body and a bright, happy or serene countenance can only result from the free admittance into the mind of thoughts of joy and goodwill and serenity. On the faces of the aged there are wrinkles made by sympathy, others by strong and pure thoughts, and others are carved by passion. Who cannot distinguish them? With those who have lived righteously, age is calm, peaceful and softly mellowed, like the setting sun. I have recently seen a philosopher on his deathbed. He was not old except in years. He passed away as sweetly and peacefully as he had lived. There is no physician like cheerful thought for dissipating the ills of the body. There is no comforter to compare with goodwill for dispersing the shadow of grief and sorrow. To live continually in thoughts of ill will, cynicism, suspicion and envy is to be confined in a self-made prison. But to think well of all, to be cheerful with all, and to patiently learn to find the good in all, such unselfish thoughts are the very portals of heaven, and to dwell day by day in thoughts of peace toward every creature will bring abounding peace to their possessor." Now that is the end of the chapter. And again, it's actually very interesting that earlier, a few hours ago, I posted a video explaining exactly how the mind-body connection works. So if you haven't seen that, it might actually help you out a bit in understanding what we're talking about here by having a bit of visuals going on. concerning this process of how the mind and conscious mind, subconscious mind influence the body, because there is a real connection there, one that we don't always like to admit, because if we are in great disease and it's irreversible almost, well, if we hear that it's a result because we have been thinking negatively for so many years or decades perhaps, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's really hard to accept that at first. We gotta find that balance within ourselves, this understanding of the unity we have with life. And by contemplating what James just wrote in this chapter, you too will find renewed peace within your soul, so that you may become more and more healthy. Now the next chapter is titled Thought and Purpose, because after all, it's very important to use your thoughts and aim it towards a purpose. We don't want to just randomly think about all sorts of stuff that leads us nowhere. But once you have a purpose with your life, you can marshal that energy of thought and direct it towards an objective. That's the meaning behind having thought and purpose. So let's listen to what James had to say. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. With the majority of people, thought is allowed to drift upon the ocean of life. Aimlessness is a vice, and such drifting must not continue for him who would steer clear of catastrophe and destruction. They who have no central purpose in their life fall an easy prey to petty worries, fears, troubles, and self-pitying, all of which lead just as surely as deliberately planned sins, though by a different route to failure, unhappiness, and loss, for weakness cannot persist in a power-evolving universe. A man should conceive of a legitimate purpose in his heart and set out to accomplish it. He should make this purpose the centralizing point of his thoughts. It may take the form of a spiritual ideal, or it may be a worldly object, according to his nature at the time. But whichever it is, he should steadily focus his thought forces upon the object which he has set before him. He should make this purpose his supreme duty, and should devote himself to its attainment, not allowing his thoughts to wander away into petty fancies or longings and imaginings. This is the royal road to self-control and true concentration of thought. Even if he fails again and again to accomplish his purpose, as he necessarily must until weakness is overcome, the strength of character gained will be the measure of his true success, and this will form a new starting point for future power and triumph. Those who are not prepared for the apprehension of a great purpose should fix their thoughts upon the faultless performance of their duty, no matter how insignificant their task may appear. Only in this way can the thoughts be gathered and focused, and resolution and energy be developed, which being done, there is nothing which may not be accomplished. The weakest soul, knowing its own weakness and believing this truth, that strength can only be developed by effort and practice, will at once begin to exert itself, and adding effort to effort, patience to patience, and strength to strength will never cease to develop and will at least grow divinely strong. As the physically weak man can make himself strong by careful and patient training, so the man of weak thoughts can make them strong by exercising himself in right thinking. To put away aimlessness and weakness and to begin to think with purpose is to enter the ranks of those strong ones who only recognize failure as one of the pathways to attainment, who make all conditions serve them and who think strongly, attempt fearlessly, and accomplish masterfully. Having conceived of his purpose, a man should mentally mark out a straight pathway to its achievement, looking neither to the right nor to the left. Doubts and fears should be rigorously excluded. They are disintegrating elements which break up the straight line of effort, rendering it crooked, ineffectual, useless. Thoughts of doubt and fear never accomplish anything, and never can. They always lead to failure. Purpose, energy, power to do, and all strong thoughts cease when doubt and fear creep in. The will to do springs from the knowledge that we can do. Doubt and fear are the great enemies of knowledge, and he who encourages them, who does not slay them, thwarts himself at every step. He who has conquered doubt and fear has conquered failure. His every thought is allied with power, and all difficulties are bravely met and wisely overcome. His purposes are seasonably planted, and they bloom and bring forth fruit, which does not fall prematurely to the ground. Thought allied fearlessly to purpose becomes creative force. He who knows this is ready to become something higher and stronger than a mere bundle of wavering thoughts and fluctuating sensations. He who does this has become the conscious and intelligent wielder of his mental powers. Now that is the end of the chapter. Again, I like that these 2 chapters of his book tie in beautifully with the previous video that was posted on my channel. So again, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go over it because it gives you a visual representation of everything that he is actually talking about now that I'm thinking about it myself. You see, what we want to understand is indeed the simple idea here that if you don't allow doubts and worries to control your mind and instead allow purpose and power and determination to succeed control your mind, well then you will win. Of course, the issue people have is how do I get from that place of doubt and worry to the place of purpose and determination? Even James Allen said it. It's dependent upon knowledge. It depends on how much you know about yourself. And all you really have to know about yourself is what we preach through these videos. That you can use your mind in certain ways, and you want to keep repeating that idea until you start believing in it. You have to repeat the thought until the thought starts to dominate your whole mind. We have been usually raised in the wrong way, so at first it seems strange and we're skeptical about these teachings. But the more we study it, the more we'll start to believe in ourselves and realize, wait a minute, I really do have this power within me to do this, to make this decision. And once that dawns upon you, then stuff starts to happen. Now, if you stumbled upon this video and want to see the rest of this series, you can find the playlist in the description box below. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.